Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach. Actually, I should say Chag Purim Sameach, Purim being a holiday, but not exactly in the category of a Chag, but nevertheless, a very wonderful holiday filled with lots of color and masks and costumes and noise and fun and puppets in this case. This year at Shaarei Tzedek on Saturday night we're having a special Purim puppet show beginning at 6:30. And a very special celebration in that we read from the scroll of Esther, and in doing so we find out a lot about what it must have been like for Jews to live in ancient Persia. And as a result of that, we also can find out some light about what it's like to be a Jew living today in modern Canadian society. Because if we think about Mordechai and Esther, we'll discover two characters that are not so unlike who we are today. Mordechai being named for Marduk, the Babylonian god Marduk. Esther being named for Ishtar, the Babylonian goddess Ishtar. And when asked the question, why were they given such names? Of course, Mordechai and Esther have become traditional Jewish names in the last 25 centuries. But why those names then? Obviously, they were interested in blending into the society around them, not being noticed, and so they were given typical Babylonian names. This was the ancient equivalent of modern Jews giving their kids names like Christine or Christian, names that one wouldn't think to name a Jewish child, and yet which would allow that child to blend in very successfully with the Christian society in which we live. So that's one thing. The other thing is that Mordechai specifically warns Esther not to reveal her Jewishness. This is before she enters the competition to become part of the king's harem. Why would he issue such a warning? Probably because if it became known that Esther was Jewish, this would eliminate her from the competition even before she had a chance to compete. So we see that Mordechai and Esther were not only interested in blending into the society around them, but they also wanted to rise through the ranks of that society. And if they had to sacrifice a little bit of their Jewish identity in order to do so, then they'd do so. And many of us, I think, find ourselves in a similar situation today. We feel this conflict between who we are as Jews and what we have to do in order to earn good livings and be accepted in the society in which we live. And finally, there is this aspect of the Purim celebration in which we don costumes and put on masks. And I believe this is more than just because Purim sometimes is considered to be the Jewish Halloween. It's much, much deeper than that, because a mask is allowing you to ask the question, who am I really? Who do I want to be? And who wants to know who I really am? And do I want them to know who I really am? All these kinds of questions about identity in modern society are, I guess you could say, modeled in this ancient custom of putting on a costume and wearing a mask, and also getting drunk on Purim is a time-honored custom. It relieves the tension, the anxiety that so many of us feel in being pulled this way and being pulled that way in terms of who we are in this modern society. Are we Jews? Are we Jewish Canadians? Or are we Canadian Jews? Which comes first? Which is more important to us? Is our loyalty to Israel more important than our loyalty to Canada? And then what about our political preferences? Would we prefer to have a party in power that is sympathetic to Israel and yet which has a social agenda with which we may not agree? Or do we want to favor our home country first and say, well, you know, our political agenda here at home is most important, and if the government is less supportive of Israel, so be it. These are very, very deep questions. This is the kind of tension that Jews have been living with for thousands of years, because in spite of the fact that Israel is our home and Israel is our land of origin, for the vast majority of Jewish history we have been living as Jews in diaspora. We've always had this tension between who we are as Jews and who we must be to live successfully in diaspora society. So Purim is actually a very contemporary kind of holiday, even though it originates some 25 centuries ago. And even though the events of the Scroll of Esther may be in question as far as whether they actually happened, we know that the situation is a very real situation because we're living that situation today. So this year, when you celebrate Shabbat and when you celebrate Purim, beginning actually at the end of Shabbat this weekend, bear these questions in mind and realize that this frivolous celebration is actually quite serious. And by celebrating it, actually we help to resolve some of the tensions that evolve around being a Jew in a non-Jewish society. So I want to wish you Shabbat Shalom and Chag Purim Sameach. May it be a double helping of joy for you this weekend, since we have one holiday following very, very directly on the other. And may you enjoy, be happy, be fulfilled, and celebrate with us this weekend. Learn more about upcoming programs and services by staying connected with us. Visit our website, follow us on Facebook, and sign up to receive updates by email. Thank you, and again, Shabbat Shalom.